Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I have installed Playmaker, and I'm playing with it. Because that's what it seems like you should do with a thing called Playmaker. That, or you should be, like, playing football with it. I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure this doesn't... yeah, I'm just fairly certain that you don't do football with this software. Just a thought. But the one thing you do with the software is it's a finite state machine maker, pretty much. And that has a lot of power in it. That's kind of got a lot of pieces that I might be able to use and not need to code quite as much. That's kind of a mixed bag, obviously, but even though there's more places for logic to exist, it's less code for me to write and less things to go wrong. So honestly, I'm not all that problematic about the whole thing. I actually quite enjoy good tools. So, for example, you'll note when I pulled out the container window, it added this little symbol on the side. That's the Playmaker symbol. Essentially tells you there's an FSM attached to this. And if we look at it right now, and I realize there is something going on here that I do need to do first. Let's... Is there a way to remove this one? Because it seems weird that I can't have, or that oh, there we go. Haha, remove that one. Okay, so we have a button that calls into the FSM and says on open click, send an on open click event. Now, where is the FSM? Because I should be able to view it. And yet I see, there it is. Interesting. So we have the choice state, which is what shows up initially. So it goes from start immediately into whatever state that is. And then we say, okay, on open click. When that event gets sent, we're going to go to the open state. Now, open state doesn't really do anything. If we look at the actions inside of it, yeah, there aren't any actions yet. But we can now set this up to control a lot of stuff really easily. And hopefully it shouldn't be too much trouble to kind of get this all handled and measured and set away. So let's see here. Things we need to do, because I want to get this one piece of UI fully attached into Playmaker, see how much trouble it would be. And then I'm going to look at all the rest of oh, I can turn that option off in preferences. Great. I just noticed something that I really would like to have turned off in the preferences somewhere, if I can find the preferences for this thing, of course. Okay, I might have to find it another time, because right now I'm not thinking I'm going to spend all that. Oh, preferences. Aha, I found the preferences. Great. Don't do that. And I haven't actually looked through these, so I have no idea what I'm doing aside from turning off the one that I know is giving me, not a headache, but causing trouble. Okay, whatever. Good enough. So, we've got the couple states here, and I just want to add a couple actions. That's pretty much all this boils down to. I love it when emails bounce. You get to rewrite them and do all that fun stuff. So, we say on open click, you go to an open state. Now, open state could mean a lot of things, but for us, open state's going to be hopefully pretty straightforward. The question becomes, how do we cause actions to happen that can then... Interesting, okay. You can, it looks like you can add actions that go all at once, or you can have them go in a certain order. I'm kind of a fan of going in order. If only because a lot of stuff going off at once is going to be kind of terrifying. Also, if I can get rid of this, I'd be really happy. but it doesn't look like I can. I'll have to find the preferences to turn some of this stuff off, because that's more than a little annoying. Alright, so we've got this list of actions, and you'll note that there's quite the list. But the easiest thing to handle in this case is if we look at the actual code that's running somewhere. Let's see here, scripts, where's that container window? Pretty much what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to lower the amount of code in here, because more code means more places things can go wrong, and it also makes it harder to keep the game well maintained. Versus if we're doing something like this inside Playmaker, the controls are fairly straightforward. You can debug it inside the editor, and it still has a lot of the power of coding without having to go through and write functions for the silly little things that honestly you shouldn't have to write a function for. So for example, when I say, let's see here, here's open container, right? I'm actually trying to think if there's a easier one to start with. Let's actually start with disarm trap and then go to open container, just because I feel like doing the easiest one first. Editing of prefab instances disabled, see preferences. Okay, I guess I can select the FSM inside the prefab, that's fine. So we have on open click, we also want an event for on disarm click. And then on disarm click can be used by this one as well. We have a disarm state. I like state machines. You can make the little pretty arrows and do all that. KoToFan, I wish I could get partnered so that I can stream in lower qualities. The problem being that in order to get partnered, you tend to need a certain number of followers per let's see, it's like there's a follower count and a regular viewer count, and I don't meet either of those requirements, unfortunately. And it's kind of frustrating, because I definitely would like to have the lower quality streams, but I also don't have the money to go ahead and buy something like a Streambox that could do that encoding and decoding for me. So I still have to figure that out. Because I don't think anyone in game dev, for the most part, is partnered. I don't think there are any partnered game devs. There might be one or two. And if you guys know any, I'd be interested in hearing who is partnered, if you guys happen to know that. But yeah, aside from that, it's unfortunate because, yeah, I got nothing. Specify, okay, so we can specify the game objects. So we're going to start with so this is interesting, even though it's inside the prefab. I bet I have to do it. Okay, I think I know what I have to do here. I think I have to do the changes inside the instance, and then from there, I need to actually apply the changes back. Yeah, let's see if that helps. So if I click on this one, who should still match even though it's a prefab instance, I should be able to now drag this sucker, yeah, into there. Okay. I'm slowly learning how this works. Slowly working my way through. So we've got one activate game object where we set the choice to not visible, right? I really wish I could just take a lot of this and stretch it out a little further. Yeah, we set that to not active. And then we set the trap UI to active. And we don't need to do any of this recursively or every frame or any of this stuff. Okay, that should do the trick. We need to do a couple more things before we're done with this, obviously. The choices inside of the UI need also to be slightly rewired. So before our open button went to a function, same thing with the disarm button here, you'll notice that it goes to a function inside the container window. Instead, what we're going to do is go to the FSM and send an event. And I think I called it on disarm click. Pretty sure that's what I called it. Let's double check real quick. Yeah, on disarm click. Okay, cool. So that looks like it's all taken care of. I'm just going to apply the changes back, and that does hopefully apply those changes back to the prefab. That's my one worry, is that I won't move those changes back to the prefab, but it looks like it's getting taken care of here. Hey, Mental. What was the reason behind using Playmaker? So there's a couple reasons, but the biggest one is Playmaker seems really good at in-order execution of things. So instead of having to write our own way of doing this, or instead of having to make our own tool to handle these long strings of events where I say, bring up this UI, when you click on this, I need you to pick a character, then I need to show the UI, and wait for them to pick a character's inventory item, and then I need to do an action. There's like a 5-step process there, and I can take care of most of those steps inside an FSM a lot easier than I can do inside code. The code would look like a giant, fugly set of either events getting called by each other, or it would look like a giant coroutine with nested coroutines inside. And as much as I love coroutines, and I think coroutines should be used for instances of this, when you have to start nesting coroutines, we're talking about a code complexity that starts to balloon very quickly. And I'm trying to keep this simple, because if something goes wrong, I'd rather not spend hours upon hours trying to debug and figure out what's going wrong in asynchronous code. That's just not something that reminds me of a good time, to say the least. Okay, so the easiest stuff looks like it should be handled at this point. Also, we could probably move the on leave click to, oops, I left the other container window in the scene. Sorry, let's get rid of that. Didn't mean to. But yeah, the big reason behind Playmaker, of all things, is for essentially simplicity of code. Okay, so some of this works, some of this clearly does not. I got the container open, that was fine. Suddenly the update didn't want to do the size stuff. I guess I need to slap a breakpoint down and see what the heck's going on in here. But yeah, because there's only me working on this project at this point, and will probably continue to be only me working on this project for quite some time, what's likely going to end up happening is, as this, yeah, there's a trap on this thing. As this project gets more and more complex, I'd like to be able to simplify as much of it as I can, down to basic state machines and simple controls, because otherwise I'm going to forget about this entire chest container system probably in the better part of a week or two. If I have to come back to it again, and it's this mess of events or coroutines, it's going to take me a long time to recall how the system worked and kind of retain all the parts of it that are moving. Okay, interesting. Oh, I've got the container window turned off. That's why. That is the only reason this isn't working. Okay. So if I actually go into the prefab for the container window and turn this back on, now I hit disarm, and there it goes. Sweet. I mean, I like it. It works. I like the simplicity of it all. That's the thing that really gets me about this whole system so far, is that everything is a lot simpler. And oh my god, do I love tools with this kind of power. For example, one other thing we could do, and this is the point where we start actually deleting code, right? We haven't deleted code yet. We are now going to start removing code. And so what we're going to do is, from pretty much any state, there's an onLeave event that can trigger, right? And when we say add state, leave state, and because this can be a string, I'll just put a space there. Get these guys here, add a transition, onLeave. Actually, can I do global transitions? Because that'd be friggin' awesome. Yeah, I don't think I can do global transitions. Or can I? Yeah, I can. That's so cool. Event target. Delete transition. There we go. Okay, so I have onLeave going into... Oh, or is that just on start it goes into... Interesting. Dang it, I didn't mean to... There we go. Okay. So it goes start, straight in. Add global transition. I need to look this up real quick, because I know nothing about Playmaker. Like, nothing. And it would be really cool if I could just say, hey, when this happens, do this. Global transition can be triggered at any time, regardless of any currently active state. In the example, sweet. Okay, so I just need to get me one of these global transitions. And I should be set. Question is, how do I get a global transition to drop into the scene? Also, I love how it has network sync stuff, but I'm not even going to touch it. Part of me kind of wants to go into the actual Playmaker code and rip that out, but I also am more likely to break things than I am to do anything helpful, so maybe I won't. Event browser. I don't think that's going to help. Interesting. You can expose events and it adds a button for the event into the editor so that you can like click it. I'm learning quite a bit. Playmaker, resources. Huh. There's some very cool stuff in here. I gotta say, people who make sweet tools like this, I am always happy that they've done so. Because you can tell the amount of work that went into this is really, just really high quality work. Add state, add transition state. Control drag transition. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. Whoa, not what I meant to do, but hilarious nonetheless. Interesting. Okay. Make global transition playmaker. Also, I was really interested in the fact that Hearthstone actually uses playmaker. Oops. Wrong app. Didn't mean to do that. Oh well. Let's see here. Global transitions, yeah, that's nice, but how do I use them? That's what I want to know. If I create an event, then right-click on the global transition I created. I can select the event. You make a transition to a state, and then set it to an... What? I have a feeling... Okay, maybe this doesn't do what I thought it did? Seems a little weird, but I've also been known to do weirder things. How to create a global event. Each event has a checkbox. Tick this and it will become global and accessible anywhere by any FSM. Then you plug that event into the global transition on a state. Okay, so I need to have a state for it to do first, is pretty much what people are saying. So add a global transition on leave. And it always goes to the leave state. Okay, that's hard to argue with. And on that, we are actually going to destroy object. Actually, I can do a destroy self, can't I? Don't detach children, just destroy self and be done. And on leave is something that we want to be able to be called by that leave button that we have been using so faithfully this entire time. Send event on leave. Problem solved. Yeah, looks good. I hit apply, and then just to be quirky about this, I'm actually going to go so far as to, first off, stop debugging. Secondly, we're going to get rid of this closed container. Ooh, closed container actually has... It actually has a function we need to make use of before anything else. So maybe I can't get rid of this function altogether. I can get rid of the destroy game object. But I don't actually... Okay, let's see here. We have to modify that state machine a little bit more before we call it complete. There we go. Let's see here. So... we've got all this stuff going on, but the leave state can't just call destroy self, as much as I would like that to be the case. We actually have to call a function from a game object. Is that under, let's see, script control. That sounds great. Add script, call method, and invoke method. Probably call method. Okay, and the call method, let's see here. I can't really select much of anything. So as much as I hate doing this, I'm going to drag it into the scene, make the change, and then drag it back. On our own mono behavior, actually, I think I have to drag the specific mono behavior in. So grab our container Windows script. The method name is close container. And there aren't any parameters. And there's no result to store. So we only call the method once, and then I think we should be done. Because it destroys itself. It's not like there's a ton to really handle in here. Alright, so we go back out to the inspector where we apply our changes. Alright, looks set. Let's try it. So I hit leave, and it always nukes itself, which is fantastic. If I hit disarm, it starts the game, and then I can leave. So you're starting to see the power of this. We can start to remove code and bits and pieces, and essentially keep our code down to the stuff that absolutely needs to be custom. And that's really a lot of the power of having this state machine system in place. I'm not going to obviously stop coding. I do need a lot of custom code still, but stuff like combat, stuff like picking, we can probably set up a way to do picking within the state machine so that we don't have to have that. We can avoid the string of events that I was really trying to avoid in the first place. That's really the big reason I wanted to use this, not just to do a couple cutesy little things with it, but to have some bigger stuff get taken care of by this system. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why I kind of started to go into this, and I think it was a good choice. I'm going to keep poking at it, and we're going to keep using it, and I'll continue to form my opinion, but I think for now I can kind of understand why it's getting as much widespread usage as it currently is. It is a very powerful tool, and yes, it stops me from coding everything manually, but honestly, in a system like Unity, Unity is very data-driven in the first place, so we don't exactly want everything to be, for lack of better words, we don't want everything to be custom code in a very data-driven system. Just very happy with myself about how some of this nighttime stuff turned out. Even as it continues to get a little bit darker throughout the night, the moon is probably somewhere in the sky. But I really can't find it. Huh, oh well. It's here somewhere. Watch it be like behind the house or something. Oh, I can't see it in 2D mode. I don't know why I'm trying to look for it anyway. Okay, so what's next on the docket? I've got about a half hour left before I have to take off. And the biggest thing I think I want to handle is starting to get picking into the finite state machine system. That's kind of the part where we're starting to walk into the unknown here. I've kind of known some of Playmaker up until this point. Now we're definitely going into unknown territory. Because you'll note that a lot of the stuff that works with disarming and opening and all that stuff, is pretty much all reliant on having somebody do an action. I realized that wasn't full screen. Alright, so what do we need here? When we say disarm state, we can't just jump to the disarm state. We have to pick somebody and then go to the disarm state. So what I think I'm going to do, when you click on the disarm thing, we're going to hide the choice UI like we currently have been doing. But we're not going to immediately show the new UI. What we're going to have to do is we're going to pick somebody and then go to the new UI. So I'm going to add a pick state. Pick disarmer. And I don't think I need to put the word state after all of these. I think I understand that this is an FSM and that states are kind of the way things work. So let's just not have a ton of redundant data sitting around. So we're going to pick the disarmer. And then the moment we have, that's when we're going to move on to the disarm event. Can I do that? No, that would be far too convenient. Uh, get a container window in here so I can mess with things a little more directly. And I did not mean to do that. Let's get you back over here. I accidentally click and drag on things a lot, especially when there's weird spacing like this. It's bad, but I know I tend to do that a lot. Animation, no, game object, playmaker, activate game object. So we remember that we have to turn off that. And this should be an action sequence. Man, is there some way to get rid of all this help text? That's the part that's... Show editing while running more? No. Man, it doesn't seem like there's a way to turn off. Use the drop-down list above. Ah, okay. Graph view. Oh my god, there's so much stuff in here. Ah. Circuit links. I'm a fan of circuit links, but I think I'm a bigger fan of the Bezier stuff. So let's keep with the Bezier curves. If only because it's easier to keep them from colliding with each other. Because circuit links, I'd have to... I guess that's not so bad. Although you can see it kind of screws up when I get a straight line in place. It kind of fouls up just for a little bit, and I end up with a ball right there because it doesn't know how to draw such a short, tiny little line segment. I guess that's personal preference is what that comes down to. Let's keep with Bezier for now. Color links with state color watermarks. Okay, I don't think that's a huge issue. Show FSM description in graph view. No, we don't want probably the description. Oh, once again, I kind of waffle back and forth on that one. See what I did there? Let's see here. Minimap, new state. Yeah, okay. Don't care about this. Let's try error checking, because... No, that literally is... Debugging. I'm really hoping there's some way to turn off some of these messages. Because that is really annoying. I have a limited amount of space and they're taking up, it looks like half of it with junk I don't want or use. Ugh. And look at this, like, this is even worse. Oh well. Yeah, okay, well, I tried. So we hide the current UI. We need to pick somebody now. That's going to be the interesting part. If there is no text component that I can say set text, what I'm going to have to do instead is add my own component to this. That is just going to be a text component, nothing else. It's going to be fairly straightforward. Here is a text object. Probably going to live right there, looks good. I kind of hate to use an extra text component, but unless I can target something... I don't think I can do a find game object in here, though, is my problem. Transform... Yeah, I'm not finding the hierarchy searching stuff. That or I'm glazing right over it. Get component, get property, set property, yeah. I am not seeing it. Of course, there's so many categories also that in order to see it, like I said, I could have glazed over it a few times at this point, and I could be completely wrong. Okay, so we have find child and find game object. The other thing we could do, curiously enough, Playmaker's very easy for us to add stuff to. So I'm kind of tempted to just add my own action here and be done with it that way. Create a folder. We're going to call it game actions, or just game. I don't even need... Actually, wait. Okay, it looks like all the actions are actually just dumped into here. Holy heck, that's a lot. Okay. There's a sleep action. Sweet. That should be nice and simple for us to copy, and we're going to make our own called set description text. Because I don't want to create more text items sitting inside various UI elements and hidden all over the place. I just don't even want to. So, I have a feeling we have to mimic most of this. But not all of it. So we do need the namespace, and that's fine. Oh, okay, cool. So we've got the namespace set up. We've got the action category should be... Oh, okay. They aren't custom. They're actually, like... There's one called Game Logic, too. What's under Game Logic? Nothing. So I guess this one's meant for us. It's cool. I appreciate the forethought that they put into this. Changes the text within the in-game party description text. There's our tooltip. So we've got tooltip, we've got action category. What else can we do here? It looks like we need to attach a component action and not rigid body. This can actually attach to anything. And I'm kind of curious if I have to attach it to something like a game object or, I don't know, anything else. Play random animation, play random sound, play sound. Okay, so an FSM state action as opposed to a component action. They look like very different beasts, which is fine. Because we don't need this to be specific to anything. There's the owner, there's the position. We then have the audio clip. Wow, look at all this metadata. Now this is good use of C# for anyone who hasn't seen code that's kind of almost overly metadata set up. There's a lot of crazy stuff in here, and I can definitely appreciate the fact that they kind of went overboard with it, but that's what C# is meant to do, is to have this this overboard level of extra data attached to things. I'm kind of curious if I should use any of these. Yes, there's a required field of that, and it's going to have the target text. No, it's just title. Title is going to be I don't know if I need to set my title separately or if it's going to use Unity's cute little method of doing it. because I see other stuff in here, let's try not and just see if it flies. Is there anything else? I don't see anything else. It looks like we have to override a couple functions and we should be set. Reset. Okay, reset should be straightforwards. We just say text is blank. On enter, we go party.instance.descriptionText.text is text. I'm hoping this kind of takes care of everything for me. Honestly, I kind of want to look at the... Okay, the definition of an FSM string is literally a get and set. I was kind of hoping there'd be more to it than that. It's a named variable. Okay. Curiosity, but not that much curiosity. And that's really all there is to it, huh? Okay, cool. We could do some checking here. We could say if the party is null, if other stuff. And so let's just handle that just because we're good programmers and we're doing our part. I happened to see inside that one we had open a second ago that they had logging stuff. So we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to log out a warning in return. And then party.description text, right? Because if the party exists, the description text practically has to. It's not 100%, but it's like a 99 kind of thing. 99.99, whatever. 33.33, repeating, of course. All right, so hopefully, let's see if that loaded it into here. Because now, aha, we have game logic. Sweet. So we turn that off. We set the description text to say what? Pick a character. Actually, so I don't want this to be a required field, if only because it seems to mark it as an error otherwise. And we want it to actually be able to be blank, right? We want an empty string possible in here. Disarmer, set text to pick a character to disarm. And then what? We say pick a character to disarm. Now we have to wait on them to click on somebody, and that's going to be a little more difficult. We have to detect a player object and store it somewhere. Let's see, how would we do this? There's probably a way to write a state that returns into a variable inside of the state machine. So we have a new variable, we'll call them the disarmer, or we could just call them the target character. Yeah, well, target character. And the variable type here is a game object, because we want to pick the person. We don't have a, let's see, if I put that in the inspector, I'm kind of curious where and how that shows up. Oh, right here, controls, target character. Cool. Sometimes you gotta stretch. Sometimes you just gotta. Okay, we have to be able to pick a person. This is going to be kind of the hardest part, I think, is we have to find a way to, we can either have the portrait try and call the FSM and say, hey, this person has been picked. That's one way to handle it. But that also requires that we register and unregister our functions. And I'm not a huge fan of that. What I do think might be a little more possible is if we can do a pick as an action. And I thought I saw an action for that under the input system. Screen pick. Perform a raycast into the scene using screen coordinates and store the result. The question is, the big question here, is can we use UI when we do this? Or is that a different GUI call? Is that a different raycast? Enable GUI, draw texture, full screen color, all this good stuff. Nothing I care about seems to be in there. Tests if a point is inside a rectangle. I mean, it's kind of one way to do it, except that we want to test a very specific rectangle, so I don't know if that would be the way to do it. Let's see here. Playmaker. I need to know. Let's move this back so you guys can see it. Not global transition. Interesting. It looks like a lot of people are using a Unity GUI action category. Note that these actions don't work on mobile. Well, that's not a great preface for a lot of people. Obviously, we don't mind so much because we're doing this mostly for PC at this point. I can't see myself trying to make this fit onto a mobile game because mobile games have size requirements and processing requirements and all kinds of stuff that I just don't want to handle. You can hear the sound of my poor mouse. Every time I roll, it just kind of clicks and makes funny noises. So pretty much we have to handle this, it looks like, in a very manual manner. I'm not a huge fan of that. But this would be one of those cases where custom code might not be the worst thing in the world. Especially if we could write custom code that said, do you pick a certain game object? Or do you pick a game object by a certain name? Just trying to think of a good way to handle and make use of all this. Because we have all this stuff in here. So clearly we've got the control to grab whatever we need. The question becomes, where do we grab from? Interesting. We have touch events and touch object events. But I don't have click events. A little weird. So, let's think about this. We've got two ways to handle this. One would be each of the 4 characters gets added into Where's Unity? Each of the 4 characters gets added into the list. You click on one of the portraits, and then when you click on one of the portraits, we grab which one you just clicked on and pass it on to whoever wants the information next. That's probably the easiest way to do it. We're going to be picking characters a lot inside of here, so I'm kind of tempted to just make it a playmaker action for our game logic. Go back to that we need to handle things using playmaker code, unless we really need custom stuff sitting inside our system. Keep realizing I shouldn't be hitting play. Should be hitting apply on this and then deleting it, if anything. At which point, now I should be walking up and saying, okay, I disarm, pick a character to disarm. Right now, everybody's UI is capable of handling things, but what I want to do is change that click to do something else. How does the party UI handle that click? Is that a button? Just an imageless or a backgroundless button? Because that seems incorrect. That shouldn't be the way I'm handling. Okay, there is an event trigger. On pointer down, open inventory. Also, interesting. It makes me wonder if I can call an action on a object. So not an object in the scene, but I would say a standard script. Let's say I need to actually find one. Here we go. Oh, dialogger scripts. Not what I wanted. I wanted a... Okay, so we have playmaker actions in here. It makes me wonder if I can make a static function and call it from here. Because that would be, I think, the easiest way to do a character pick, right? We say, you are going to call this static function and pass yourself into it. And I know I'm running low on time, guys. We'll see if we can get this last piece in. Let's see here. I need a new playmaker action, so we're gonna need, I don't know, wow, there's a lot of code in some of these. Like a lot of code. And there's a mouse pick event. Wait a minute. No. There is a mouse pick event under input. What? Did I miss that? It's an FSM state action. Okay. It just... what? Prefabs. Container window. Pick disarmer. Under actions. It said it was under input. Mouse pick. Oh. Perform a mouse pick on the screen and store the results, or sends events based on mouse interactions with a game object. Use ray distance to set how close the camera must be to pick the object. So the only issue here being that I don't know if this works on... Interesting. I don't know if this is going to work on the UI, but I want to try it. I really want to try it. I have a feeling that the mouse pick event actually probably uses the wrong kind of code. But let's give it a shot. Playmaker, actions. It was under M. Of course, I can't just click search. I have to go mouse pick. Okay, so we have a layer mask. We have all this information. Alright guys, well I gotta take off. Thank you very much for joining me today. We will continue this tomorrow. And we'll need to figure out just how the heck to get this mouse picking to work. Because once we can get the picking to work in one state, we then just spread it out to each of the other states that we also need picking inside of. Specifically, we're going to go so far as to have you pick a disarmer, you pick a person to open the chest, and you pick a person whose key you want to make sure you use, right? 3 different ways to handle this, so we've got a lot of work ahead of us, but if we can get this packed into an FSM, it should really drop the amount of code we need to do, and from there, we can simplify disarming stuff down to a very simple set of small game logic actions, and the game logic actions should pretty much be the end of it. We shouldn't need much more than that. So we'll see how much simpler we can get. I don't honestly know, but it's kind of worth a shot. That's why I'm going through this whole experiment. Thank you again, guys, for joining me. If you haven't done it yet, please hit the follow button in the corner, the little green heart, or the little heart if it's green. Don't hit it again. Just leave it green. I like it green. But thank you again, and hopefully I will see you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat place. Since it's tomorrow, it'll be 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hopefully I'll see you then. Take care, guys. Have a great day.